Everyone, this is Tom, your host for the Hidden Truths channel. How's everybody doing this evening? I hope you're doing well. Anyway, tonight we're going to discuss on our live stream destroying ourselves with AI. Excuse me, itchy nose. Anyway, AI is really coming into it's getting really good. That's what I'm going to say. Anyway, we're going to discuss that and how dangerous it is. Like I say, when we're teaching making machines smarter and people less educated, it's not a very good thing to do. So anyway, that's what we're going to discuss. First, I got to waste a little time for people to YouTube to let some people show up. So my camping trip's going to start Wednesday morning. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, the weather's supposed to be beautiful. So I'm going to go out there and to the National Forest and do some dispersed camping and put out some good content, and both on this channel and my Lone Wolf Prepper Lives channel. And it ought to be a fun time. I tell you what, when you get 80-degree weather in October, you got to take some time off to enjoy it. And that's what I'm going to do. Hopefully there's not too many hunters out there and stuff, but anyway, it ought to be a good time. I'm going to put out some good content. I know I'm going to be eating good pork chops and steaks and French toast with sausage and stuff for breakfast. Oh, yeah. Eat better out there than I will here. Have my solar shower. Can't wait to start doing some videos on that on Wednesday. Anyway, and I've learned how to edit, so only going to be 3-minute shorts, but it'll be something, and I'll be live streaming out there, both on this channel and my Lone Wolf Prepper Lives channel. I'll be live streaming. So anyway, it ought to be a good time. Put some time and some real time and effort into YouTube, and maybe I can beat out the algorithm. I don't know. It's pretty hard. It definitely don't like it if you don't follow the narrative. So anyway, but gotta wait for a few more people to show up, and we'll start discussing the subject of artificial intelligence. Crazy time. If artificial intelligence doesn't scare anybody, then the movie The Terminator doesn't scare you, because I never thought I'd be dealing with stuff like this. Anyway, like if you're a content creator on social media, you know what it's like having to deal with AI and algorithms. It's extremely difficult. Okay. But anyway, let's get into it. I got some people showing up. Listening more about AI is not good, and how much better it is when they can create a video on AI that is hard to distinguish whether it's real or not. Before you could tell, but I saw this one of the Mustache Man, and Michael Jackson arguing about who invented the moonwalk, okay, on some talk show. All right, crazy time. And I heard YouTube with its AI and stuff has been caught, and I'm so sure if they're doing it, other social media platforms are doing it, taking content like mine and altering, instead of editing it, they alter it, okay? AI is your best friend. I don't think so. No computer is your best friend. Don't ever think that. Because remember that one Ukraine big attack on Russia where they had autonomous AI drones shooting at targets that they selected? No, this ain't a good thing. And we're going to go digital ID, all this stuff. It's not a good thing. But just imagine if they want to trump up some stuff on you. Now they just don't have to throw it on your computer and say, oh, yeah, he downloaded this stuff. Now they can sit there, come up and create a video that looks as real as, seeing is believing, right? And they're going to be able to come up with video of stuff that you can't tell the difference whether it's AI generated or real. I mean, there's got to be some way to tell, I would think. But this is dangerous, okay? Like you say, when you start making people dumber, hey, J99, how's it going? I hope you had a good weekend. I tell you what, I hope you had a good weekend. Like I said in the intro, Wednesday morning, I'm going camping for a few days. It's going to be in the 70s and 80s in October. And I'm going to take advantage of it. And I'm going to put out some good content on both my channels, because I do believe it's probably time to start exploring your make sure you're prepared as things go crazy, especially if you're in the big city. Me out here in the middle of nowhere, I'm going to enjoy the nice weather and do a little training and stuff like that. Hope you have a good time. Oh, believe me, J99, I noticed how to edit now. I could do a 3-minute short. I haven't figured out how to edit videos, but I'm going to be putting out a lot of content when I go camping and stuff. And, maybe look for another alternate bug out place where I could build a dugout, but I'll go into all that. That's my prepper channel. Now we're talking about AI, which I'm going to get away from. And yeah, I have a YouTube channel, so I do use technology, but AI doesn't help me. I don't generate no AI content, even though people say some of my shorts, is that AI? Okay, it doesn't help me. It just blocks me from getting my word out. But, I'm trying to get away from that, okay? I'm not a big fan of technology making my life more convenient, because I'm one that learned at a young age back, on the farm when automation was just starting. Automation always breaks down. And when it breaks down, it sucks. You got to work harder and stuff. And when all this automation that this world has created for everybody goes down, it eventually will, and throw us back to the colonial days. DC, camping is fun. Enjoy it out there, Tom. Not a problem. You know what, DC? I hear a lot of good stuff about you. Here, just a second. I want to... How the heck can I do that? There it goes. There you go, DC. You are a moderator. You do good here. I don't like people that cause problems here. We had a moderator that I had to get rid of because he was arguing with my other moderator and just caused hate and discontent. Okay, I don't care if you disagree with me. Okay, or you can disagree with somebody in chat. Just do it respectfully, okay? It's okay to have a different opinion than somebody else. And that's one thing when AI takes over, okay? Everybody, I hope you know, AI is only going to think in black and white, like we did in the Marine Corps. Everything was black and white. There was no gray area, okay? AI will never understand that gray area, human emotions. That's why they can't predict a lot of stuff, because not to say AI isn't getting smarter, but they can't predict it. To try to get AI to predict the weather, you can't, because since when is Mother Nature predictable? And that's all a computer does, is it takes all its information it's got and creates a model of what, they take 100 years worth of information and create a model which they think will happen, okay? Doesn't mean it's going to. Anyway, that's the thing with AI. They don't see the gray area, which human beings can sense it. They can feel it. They can see it. They can smell it. They can taste it. Do you think AI knows what smoke smells like? Do you think AI knows what a hamburger tastes like? No. Do you think AI is going to know what being married is like? What do I think of Bitcoins? That's a good question. Okay. I don't understand the whole big thing behind it. To me, it's like the dollar. It's backed by nothing. It goes up and down more radical than the dollar does. But to me, I'm a guy, I don't believe I actually own something until I can see it in my driveway, see it in my house, see it in my pasture. I don't feel you own it. You don't own a house anyway. Don't pay your taxes. You're going to see if you own a house. But Bitcoin, I don't know how it can be safer than the dollar. I don't really understand it. But a lot of people make a lot of money on it. Me, I'm not big on making money, and I'm a simple man with simple pleasures, and I want to deal with least money as possible. Makes life a lot more simpler, less complicated. But you can lose your shirt in it. It was 50 cents at one time, it can go down to 50 cents again. I guess that's what I'm saying. Just like anything that rises, it will eventually fall. But life is a gamble, isn't it? It depends on if you get out before the crash, then you're sitting pretty. My money gets invested in my best asset, me. Okay, I'm not going to give my money to the New York Stock Exchange so they can sit there and put my faith in a bunch of criminals to make me more money. Might as well give it to the mob. I'd have better chances of a return. And it's pumped up by monopoly money that's just printed. I invest in me. Okay, I'll invest in something solid I can see. Land. No houses, shit, because that government control beyond belief. But just get some land. Throw a camper on it. And homestead it. You don't have to sit there and pay the thousands of dollars in taxes. You're only paying a couple $100 in taxes. But I invest in me. What I know is going to get me through the next 10 years. Something that I buy today is going to be still around and worth more 10 years from now. Kind of like an old, muscle car from the 60s and 70s, right? Or like the old John Deere 4000 series of 4010, especially the 4020, where you can't even touch one for a used one that's 50 years old, and it's going to cost you 3 times of what a brand new one did back in the 70s. Oh, yeah. And the thing still runs great. Anyway, but this AI, people go to digital currency, AI, digital ID. I mean, do you realize we go to AI, eventually computers, robots or whatever, these autonomous robots are going to be teaching your kids in school? I mean, I don't know if AI would ever get to the point where it would want to take us out, because if it did, if AI ever becomes self-aware, what mentality or maturity level do you think it's going to have? Think it's going to have the maturity and wisdom and mentality of a retired 70-year-old who's lived a good life his whole life? Or is it going to have the mentality of a 5-year-old that's basically got the power of nuclear weapons that can't be dealt with? Anybody ever see that episode of The Twilight Zone about where that kid sat there and ran town because everybody feared him because he could do whatever he wanted? Well, I tell you what, I always say if Rod Sterling is up in heaven saying, "Jeepers Christ, all the episodes I could have came up with and what's going on in today's world." I mean, he only scratched the surface on how the Twilight Zone is. I mean, you got these people in Portland that keep attacking this ICE facility day after day after day, living in their alternate reality. Well, one day they're going to really meet reality, okay? You know what I say they do? They only want that street, right? They want to get in that building, right? If they were to sit there and all of a sudden get the troops on the backside of them, open those gates up, let them all rush in there, close the gates, guess what? You got them all. You got them all. Kind of like the reverse in Roadhouse, right? Where they got him to get him out of the bar. Oh, let's go outside and fight. So he goes up. You're outside now. Now you can say you're inside and you're all getting arrested. Anyway, the thing is with these AI generated videos, is somebody that's that mentally ill, the videos that could be created to mess with these people's minds, the brainwashing that can be done to children. I mean, now parents are going to, if they are showing videos in school to their children, they got to sit there and see what the content is and see if they're even real or AI. everybody's going to have their own little electronic FBI file now, their own little government file. And it's going to be AI is going to be, you're going to have some bot that's going to be on 24/7, collecting all your information, where you're at, how long you spend there, what you spend your money on, because it's going to be digital currency. So you're going to be able to track everything you spend your money on. You're going to have your own little computer bank there with all your information in. What kind of life is that? And I remember back when movies used to be made about when the FBI would illegally put a bug in somebody's house. He had to find the bug. Now it's like, yeah, we're spying on you, we're doing all this shit, but guess what? You guys aren't going to do nothing about it anyway. So we're going to keep doing it. And now you're going to throw AI into it. Now they don't even need people doing this. Now computers are going to track everything. Computers never sleep. The surveillance is going to get insane. Are we going to be like China where we're going to have drones flying everywhere? Probably. They'll show up in the big cities first. First it'll be like for directing traffic or, traffic violations, finding that, or I'm sure there's probably drones are already being used people don't know about. It's just nuts. It's just nuts. The surveillance that's going to be done and all the information that's going to be collected, and they're going to sit there and be able to basically predict your own move, your next move, because human beings are people of routine. They just are. And if a computer algorithm, like I say, monitors you for 1 full year or 2 full years, your every action, the third year they can start predicting it with a certain degree of certainty. The predictivity program in the movie The Running Man comes to mind. I remember seeing it. I don't remember much of The Running Man, but I do remember seeing it. But yeah, all these futuristic movies. I mean, what was Demolition Man? Wasn't that another one? The utopia they tried to create. It's just... Anyway, and then about AI taking over jobs. AI don't need to take a break. It can work 24/7. I mean, it'll pay for itself. Let's say what they give for AI will pay for itself in 6 months to 9 months. That they never have to, except for minor costs of repair or whatever, they're not really flipping as much money as they do to employ. The thing, my question I got about that is when AI starts taking jobs from people, okay, that's tax revenue taken away from the government, correct? So are these companies going to have to pay AI tax to the government for all the AI they got? They got to pay a certain amount. I mean, taxes are going to have to come from somewhere because all of us are going to be on universal basic income because of between the illegals, the foreign workers that are here legally, and AI. If you're in a job where you don't sweat, you might want to worry. Anyway. It's one thing, AI doesn't do trees yet, doesn't do cowboying, but it's pretty close to driving tractors up and down the field by itself. Crazy times we live in. Nope, I don't want to live like that either. I don't understand. How much do they need to know about us? I mean, is it not enough that you sit there and need to know everything about your family when you're doing taxes? Is it not enough when you got to give your life whatever? Now they got to sit there and actually be watching you while you're doing this life, and just not allowed to report on it. They want to see real time on it. They want to be real time. That's why I live out here. But I know out here, they would just have drones patrolling. Autonomous drones that are armed, that can select their own targets. God, this is just like the Terminator. It's unbelievable how science fiction, if we're going to go science fiction route, can we go the Star Trek, where we all get along and we start traveling through the planets and, trying to, become more productive? Can we go that route instead of the destruction route? But that's the only good human beings are good at, destroying themselves. That's the only thing that's passed down successfully from generation to generation. It's not money. It's not wisdom. It's nothing like that. Not stories. It's hate. Hate, hate, hate. You say, well, no, it's not. Let's look at the Middle East. I mean, I don't understand how a kid that's born 2,000 years after what they were fighting about 2,000 years ago is still fighting over the same thing. The only thing successfully passed was hate, prejudice, wickedness. Anyway, if you like the content, please hit the thumbs up, subscribe, and the bell notification. I'm trying to get this channel to grow. But like I say, I got to deal with the AI algorithm. That's why I hope when I go out and do this camping stuff, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and Saturday, maybe I'll get to see aliens or stuff, huh? I don't think I got to worry about Bigfoot in the national forest I'm going to. But you never know. I'll make sure to get it on video. YouTube, I could have a video of me sitting beside a fire with those little gray-green dudes that don't exist, the aliens, and Bigfoot, a couple big feet, and all sitting around a fire having a good time. Hey, how's it going? And they would still not put that video on my channel. It makes me feel pretty powerful when a simple man like me can sit there and scare the rich elites in this world. I mean, that's how powerful the word is, the spoken word. And they don't want us coming together. But anyway, with AI, they're just going to find more ways to separate us. Anyway, I don't understand why we're making machines smarter. I don't know where this goal is. It's like human beings are trying to play God, trying to sit there and make a being in their image that's actually smarter than them. At least when God made us in his image, he's still the smart one. It's just like these people are demented. It's like, and then they want to bond with machines and computers. And I mean, this is stupid sci-fi stuff. You want to watch some stupid sci-fi stuff? Watch it from the late 60s and 70s. Yeah, that's where they talked about all this stuff. Why couldn't we go the Star Trek route? I haven't been to the moon now in 54 years. Well, that's a whole nother subject, but 54 years? We couldn't advance past the moon? We should have been on Mars at least 10 years ago. What's going on, Spicy Tuber 2? I like the name. Spicy Tuber 2. Hey, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Joy being here. Thank you for being here. Now, we're having a discussion about artificial intelligence because we're having a lack of human intelligence in this world, HI, like I like to call it. It's just being pushed. I mean, when I was going through school, nobody liked school, but you learned, your teachers did your job, and you understood when you get older why they push you to have an education. Now kids have the same attitude we do, but the teachers don't care. Teachers I had cared after I got out of that school that I was going to become a productive adult. They cared about me and my adult life. These teachers don't care about that no more. But, small town, when school where you got K through 12 in the same building. You know, the teachers I had kids that were in my class and stuff. Way different time back then. I think AI will probably place jobs that are not demanded. I think life will be very different in 50 years. Yeah. If you don't have a job where you sweat, I would worry. If you got like all these the medical field with information tabulating and stuff, they're going to become obsolete. I mean, people went to school to learn how to do all this medical paperwork. I mean, what do we need all these Wall Street stockbrokers for? I mean, there's going to be a lot of white collar jobs that get lost that are high tax revenue for the government. Who's going to pay for all this revenue that the government's going to lose? But yeah, there's a lot of white collar workers that are going to lose their jobs as AI progresses. I mean, now since AI is progressing to the point where it's hard to tell when they can put an actor on AI and make their own little video, now Hollywood's all scared that, oh my God. I mean, Hollywood actors are going to become obsolete. They're going to be able to create characters like cartoon characters, except they're going to look real. What the hell you got to pay somebody millions of dollars every movie when you can sit there and generate an AI character that costs little to nothing, that never has to be paid again? I mean, we're going to green screen everything, so we might as well go to actual AI actors. You know, we're just giving a reason to AI that we're not needed around here because we're trying to use AI so we don't have to do nothing around here. And you're going to have a very few people that think they're in control at the top. Now, just another example of this live stream about AI slamming down. They can't let anybody, like I say, I heard about AI and digital currency over 20 years ago on my Coast to Coast AM. That was like listening to Art Bell was like listening to somebody. The guests he had were like, they must all had crystal balls because, you know, even then I would say, nah, that's never going to happen. I mean, this is just after 9/11 and stuff where things were insane, but, you know, we weren't dealing with the insanity we have now. But, you know, digital currency, but these people were talking about this. All these subjects, everything that we're dealing with now. The war with, look at, you want to know what's an interesting story, a time traveler story? I need to do some real research on this and do a nice hour-long live stream on John Teeter. Because what he said is the Civil War in the United States is basically going to start, and how he said it is because it hinted about Spanish, okay? Illegal immigration. It's just his dates. Anyway, just check out the John Teeter story, Titor, time traveler. It's an interesting story. I don't believe time travel is real. Well, a lot of scientists say it is. You know, time is another dimension. We do track the fourth dimension of time. It's got its own space. It's got its own purpose in dimensions. And one thing about traveling from dimension to dimension, I say that would be, you know, get to the dimension where time don't exist. Everything's happening at the same time. But the one thing that travels through dimensions, the only thing that travels through dimensions freely is gravity. Controlling gravity is controlling the doorway to other dimensions. That's how you got to do it. And since we don't know how to control gravity, you know, but just that's another rabbit hole for another time. Okay, we're not going to sit there and talk about wormholes and that type of stuff. But anyway, John Titor, the time travel is an interesting story. So, and then AI, I mean, imagine if AI got the ability to time travel. It just, well, then we're talking the Terminator, aren't we? I don't know. This is just stuff that blows your mind. But this is what happens when we become more intelligent beings, isn't it? You open up more doors of mystery that you got to understand. I mean, if we think that we know the laws of physics as they should be, well, we could just look at 3i Atlas and say, well, maybe we don't know everything yet. Like I say, if human beings are the most intelligent race in the universe, the most intelligent in the only life, we're still writing on cave walls, people. We got a long ways to go before we maximize the potential of the human brain. A long ways to go. And a lot of things are going to change between now and then. I mean, we're going to be able to sit there and figure out how to displace matter and come up with transporters, that type of stuff. Turn matter into energy and then energy back into matter. Think about it. You know, if you would have told somebody in 1890 that 79 years from now, a man's going to walk on the moon, he'd have looked at you like you were Looney Tunes. But 79 years later, we did. I know people speculate we did. But I say we did. You know why? Because why haven't we gone back there? If that was a show, why didn't they just keep doing the show? Boy, that just all kind of shut up all at one time, didn't it? But that's a conspiracy theory for another day. We're never going to see the other side of the moon now, are we? Unless you get in a spaceship, and go see the other side of the moon. What's back there is just speculation. It sure ain't telling us much, are we? Okay, I see we got some messages being deleted. I don't mean to upset anybody here. You know, I live out here in Leave It to Beaverland, okay? And I see a lot of that, videos of what's going on in Portland and Chicago and just the New York, the bigger cities and stuff. And it's like watching a movie. If you live somewhere that's still traditional America from the 1950s, 70 years ago, yeah, we still have cell phones and stuff, but the culture is still there. And they have to sit there and see this stuff. I would almost say it's AI generated. It has to be. I can't believe this is continuously going on in Portland, and the cops won't do nothing about it. It's got to be made up stuff, right? People say we're all one big country. No, we're not. Us people out here in flyover country are looking at the rest of the country saying, what the hell is going on? We all work out here. We all have jobs. We all, no matter what your political beliefs aren't going to have somebody coming in here and screwing up our Leave It to Beaverland. Like I say, when I got to finally lock my doors, take the keys out of my vehicle, it's time for me to move. Because by that time, the cities are already burning down. We are normal folks. The cities are getting dangerous. I mean, I don't know what's causing all this. Human beings acting like out of control animals. They cannot control their emotions at all. At all. They have no emotional control at all. There's no, they put these people on puberty blockers, but I also think they're having maturity blockers. Gotta be. There's a disconnect there. Stuff that we all learn through the progression of life, these people aren't learning. We all eventually learn that we're responsible for ourselves, and we're not going to sit there and do stuff that's going to or invite trouble in their lives, especially people that are ruining their neighborhood. And then you got, all we are is deporting the illegals, enforcing the law of this country. People that are trying to destroy this country. And you got entitled people that want to protect them. I don't understand it. I try to ground myself in reality and logic, and I just can't understand why these people are doing this stuff. It makes the end. I don't know. I bet you ask these people, what do you want? And they'll give you some generic answer. Something that, they've been chanting or whatever. Talk about free land or stolen people. After every war, the maps of the world change. That's what world wars do. They change boundaries. Okay? So maybe Mexico should have thought about that before they went to war with the United States. Anyway, nobody is falling over themselves to help other people. This is America. I know. It's dangerous. If we can't get along with our neighbor, how the hell are we going to get along with anybody else? Your neighbor is the most accessible people that you have to talk to, whether they agree with you or disagree with you. Those are the ones that, they see you every day. Just, if we can't get along with them, if the politician can come out and preach some nonsense to people where they believe it and they want to hate you for it, try to kill them with kindness. But that's what we're getting to. And now we're going to have people generating AI ridiculous stuff. I just don't like AI. I grew up where we still had to use our brain in school. We weren't, calculators were first coming out. This was the late 70s and early 80s, and all they had was the subtraction, addition, multiplication, and division, but we weren't allowed to use them. Even in our advanced math class, algebra 2, calculus, trig, physics, we weren't allowed to use them. And then when I went through my electronics school, when I was in service and I had to go through the 6-month electronics course and all the math we learned there. And we had to be able to do it by hand first. And then they showed us how, and we had, say I used every button on that damn calculator. And then we were taught how to do it on the calculator too, because you don't have time to do 5 pages worth of calculations to figure something out when you got to get it done. It's a lot easier to just start punching numbers in the old scientific calculator. But I still had to, when I was in service, we still had to use our brains. This is the thing. This is what makes you free and independent, the ability to think, the ability to comprehend, come up with your own conclusions. Don't have to sit there and stand outside a building and say the same thing that the next person next to you is saying. That's ridiculous. Anyway, hey, if you like the content, please hit the thumbs up, subscribe, and bell notification. Say I'm going to try to hammer away my YouTube stuff for a few weeks, see if I can break the bond they had. I tell you what, my channel was growing in leaps and bounds there for a couple weeks. I was in the hyperspace lane where I would have been monetized, at least 6 weeks ago. So anyway, I got enough subscribers. I need time watched, and they're really strict with that. I guess you got to have eligible hours, whatever that means. But hey, if you like the content, please go to my other content and check it out. Help support the channel by watching some of my shorts. Check them out. Some of them say they're there to get you to think. It's nothing personal. All right? Not like I live it's advice, okay? And YouTube doesn't like a lot of them. This is what I'm saying. I deal with an AI algorithm. I have to deal with a computer that is restricting my First Amendment rights. And the people that are okay with that are upset because people are against them burning the flag. Both of which, being against either one, being for either one, the First Amendment, I have a right to say what I want to say. YouTube's not a publishing company. They make money off of creators, all right? But then again, we know it's not about money no more because the rich people have found out money's worthless. They know that. They know that for a long time. Money is completely worthless. What's worth something is information and control. The more information you have somebody, it don't matter if they're richer than you or not. You have control over them. And they definitely, Trump, $2,000 tariff rebate check or whatever. Are you kidding me? Instead of giving all these Americans money, how about cutting the budget, living it with their means, and throwing it all towards debt? That helped more Americans out, especially the taxpayer out, more than $2,000, which we'll have to pay back with $4,000. This is what I'm saying. The average citizen has no idea. When they can be bought with $2,000 in today's world, bought, it reminds me of the Comstock mine in Nevada. It was the people who, 3 guys were paying for gold and hit pay dirt, where it was like, I think it was at that time, the ore they came up with was worth, I think it was either $2,000 or $5,000 a ton, the ore they brought in. And they're at the fucking, you got all these rich, intelligent, rich guys, the mining tycoons, right? They're looking for an opportunity like this, right? So they're in the bar drinking, and they're trying to talk these guys into selling their claim, right? Oh, it's going to be dried up, da. Okay. And they got the first guy to sell for $100. Eventually, the last guy took $1,000 to sell the claim. Anybody ever heard of the Comstock? Millions upon millions upon millions upon millions of dollars. And that's all they're doing. Another shuck and jive. Throw some green pieces of paper at somebody, keep them happy. If that's all it takes for the government to entice people, for them to sit there, that put that carrot in front of them, to sit there and say, okay, this is acceptable. Kind of like when they were giving things to people like a baseball ticket, a free meal at McDonald's and stuff for if you go get remember that? $100, I guess they were actually finally giving people to go get it. And that's what's going on, folks. And Trump's standing there, how the hell can we afford that? When's the first person going to say, hey, take my $2,000 and give it to the deficit? And then we need to rein in the spending, okay? You can't, no household or community, city, or nothing can survive on the way our government survives. And the only reason our government can be $38 trillion in debt is because we're the world reserve currency. You take that away from us, oh my God. Do you know who restricted him? If you scroll through the chat, I think you'll see who blocked him. Okay, I'm sorry, I haven't been watching this thing. The moderators are there for a reason. When I first started doing live streams, I didn't want to sit there and have to have messages restricted. But then I realized that this is a discussion for adults, people that want to come here and actually have an honest discussion. We don't have time for adult children to come in here and start saying a bunch of stupid things. Okay, and even the best of trolls ain't going to get the best of me. But intelligent thought, okay? This is an intelligent conversation. I'm not going to try to have an adult conversation when I got a child in here going, nah, 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 nah. But then again, this is what you have. Undisciplined, can't control their emotions. Whatever I can do to cause hate and discontent. I hate myself so much and hate my life. I'm going to sit there and try to bother other people. You know, people that are happy with their lives, they don't go around trying to make other people's lives miserable. They're the ones that go out and do good deeds for people. They're the ones that, you know, when you like who you see in the mirror every day, you know, it's pretty easy. You're happy and content with your life. You know, you're not, you know, this thing. If you're going to chase that green piece of paper and your ultimate goal is to get as much as you can before you die, you're never going to be happy. And I feel all those people that sit there and try to do that and accomplish that, well, I'm sure your kids and all your loved ones, like the ones that, you know, couldn't wait for you to die are happy. But I bet you those men within the last couple hours of their lives are sitting on their deathbed thinking how they wasted their life, how they would sit there and trade all their money for 10 minutes of an experience that doesn't include money. That's the way I feel. Anyway, if you like the content, please hit the thumbs up, the subscribe, and the bell notification. Anything to help the Old Hidden Truths channels grow. Like I say in my live streams, I used to have, my maximum was 22,000 views in an hour on one live stream. So, you know, I know what my channel's potential is. But, you know, I hate it when I'm not allowed to achieve my potential, especially when a computer says, nah, 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 nah. You know, people don't want to hear what you got to say. Not everybody. I'm not expecting everybody to agree with me. Jeepers Creeps, if the world was full of people like me, well, I wouldn't want to live in a world like that. I love people individuality, you know, where people are not the same. People have different interests, different attributes, different skills. That's how you learn. If everybody in this world was like me, I would never learn no new knowledge. And I'm not going to sit there and be forced to learn it from some computer, AI program. You know, learning skills is very important, but I'm going to go right to the heart of it. Somebody actually does it. And then get the practical experience, get my hands dirty and stuff, sweat, know what it's like, the good parts and the bad parts of the job. We are not computers. We are all different. Agree, Tom. Yeah, but that's the way they want everybody to think. Everybody think the same way. Communism. You know, that's one thing about, you know why Antifa is calling everybody they hate fascist? Because who is fascist the biggest enemy of? Communism. So when they sit there and say, you're a fascist, what they're really saying, because they don't think that, what they're really admitting to is they're a communist. Flat out. That's what anti-fascists are, communism. But we happen to live in a country these days, and like I say, these useful idiots don't even realize that we are merging communism and fascism together. I mean, in the elites of the world have figured out the best way to control the world is that they all get along and they go to war with the people and take over the world that way. Okay. And they all have their little separate parts of the world. I tell you what, the future, if these sick-minded individuals have their way, It's going to be a bad time. And, the thing leading the way is AI. So it can make my life more easier and more convenient. Yeah, I want it. Really? When did a human being become that lazy? I was never allowed to be that lazy. I would never want a computer to be in control of any part of my life. Anyway, it's just going to get bad. Like I say, you see that behind me? I need to get monetized on YouTube and where I can sit there and live like that away from everything and, maybe have to take a 30-mile horse ride so I have some tower reception and do my YouTube once in a while and then disappear back into the woods. But like I say, with all the precedents what Trump is setting with AI, troops in the streets, oh my God, what's going to happen when we get a communist, liberal Democrat in the White House again? I'm not going to be around for people. No, 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 no. Anyway, but, try to educate your kids on the dangers of not having education, the dangers of always going to Google and Google knowing the answer. I really do believe that some people think that it's never going to change. And it'll always be that way. Google will always be there. And they're just redefining everything anyway. And with all these AI generated videos, they're just, they're going to tear down statues. They're going to tear our history in half too. Like, wasn't Google's AI making the founding fathers black and Clarence Thomas a white man? I mean, 50 years from now, people will believe that. Anyway, crazy times, crazy times. Anyway, I appreciate everybody being here. If you like the content, please hit that thumbs up to subscribe and the bell notification. Do whatever I can to get the word out. I'm doing my part. I don't live in a big city. I don't worry like you people do, but especially with AI in the big city. You are going to be monitored everywhere. But it's amazing. When something we really need to know, like the public wants to know, there's no camera angle at it or nothing, no good view of it or nothing, right? But they got cameras all over the street. Yeah, we followed this guy from when the time he came into New York City till he did his crime. We followed him the whole way. Just like that kid that shot Charlie Kirk, and I'm not going to get into conspiracy theories, but tracked him all the way before or when he got on the school grounds all the way around. Carrying a gun around, right? They're tracking him and nobody's watching the security monitors or whatever. I thought they had a guy in a big room that had TVs all over it where he's just watching everything that's going on. I guess they don't have that no more. I guess AI must be monitoring all that stuff. Anyway, AI will destroy us. When it becomes self-aware, I mean, look how our politicians divide us and the turmoil they've caused just from politicians standing up and saying stupid things in front of a mic and not obeying the Constitution and the laws of this land. What do you think when AI generated propaganda is going to start appearing? Like I say, Joseph Goebbels would have loved AI. Hitler would have loved TV. So anyway, but we got those technologies with people that want to be in charge and have been in charge and, are in charge of wherever that, may have the same ambitions. Anyway, times could get crazy. That's why I'm going camping this week. So Wednesday night's live stream will be out in the National Forest. And it's going to be a good time. I know it's going to be a nice few days. Nice few days. Got to take advantage of it. Yeah, I got people screaming they want their trees trimmed and stuff. But you know what? I'm going to take a little time for myself. Make sure all my gear works. do a couple videos for my Lone Wolf Prepper Lives channel. Start getting that channel up and running again. Like I say, if I could do YouTube full time, bing, bang, bang, bang. Anyway, but it's not my subscribers or the people watching me that are holding me back. You guys are doing great. You guys are doing great. It's, let's just say YouTube. If I could sit there and show you my analytics somehow, screenshots of it, you'd be like, that looks like an EKG of a guy who's having a heart attack. Anyway, but remember, YouTube and social media platforms are meant to shadow banning, censoring, and working with political parties to silence people, and nothing happens to them. Now they're just working with the other side, and nothing's going to happen to them. They sway with the wind. Okay, remember Mark Zuckerberg gave $1 million to the Trump campaign for the inaugural ball and stuff. $1 million, and that was just a drop in the bucket. If people think like us, you mean you become president and you need a ball that's worth $250 million for one night? And now we're going to have AI in charge of us that knows great, doesn't know what smoke smells like, doesn't know what a hamburger tastes like, doesn't know what a beautiful songbird sounds like, and we're going to have that in charge of us? Anyway, times aren't going to be good. Appreciate everybody being here. DC and J99, you've been busy. Anyway, like I say, I'll be back Wednesday from the forest. I can't wait. I'm not taking Beauty with me, though, this time. I'm just going to be hoofing it myself. So one thing about you take a horse to a national forest, you need certified weed-free hay, okay? Where it actually got a tag on the bale that certified weed-free hay. And my closest person to buy that is like 150 miles away. And the stuff is 3 times more expensive, so no. And you get caught out there in the national forest without that hay, then it's a $5,000 fine. Just to take a horse camping. Because I may bring some invasive species of seed in there. But don't worry, scientists can bring invasive species of plants and animals to this country, and they just create all kinds of havoc, but nothing happens. But they're eggheads, okay? Yeah, camping with a horse in a national forest can be a pain in the ass, especially if there ain't no grass for them to eat, okay? It's not like Beauty. I can just put her halter on with her lead rope and hanging around her neck, and she can go off wandering and go eating and stuff. Not that way this time of year. Anyway, but that's just how, when people say freedom, hell, in Minnesota, to ride the trails in the state forest, you need to sit there and buy a permit, like a license. Almost like a license plate you need to stick on the horse's ass. Yeah. But then again, nothing against, I'm from Minnesota, but Minnesota so-called horse people aren't cowboys. Anyway, everybody have a great night. I will see you Wednesday night from the forest. So, and enjoy the shorts, and I'll probably put out a video or something. And hopefully we'll have a quiet week this week. And like I say, maybe if they arrest all these protesters, put them on planes and drop them off in the middle of the Atlantic, right? That's what they were doing. This is how sick these people are. And just imagine if they made an AI-generated video of that happening. All it takes is a spark for these lunatics to lose their mind. Whether it's real or computer generated, they will lose their mind. Anyway, hey, appreciate my moderators being here. Have a good night, J99 in DC. Appreciate you being here. I really appreciate you guys. Anyway, like I said, I don't pay attention to the chat, but I know when I don't have a moderator here, I have had to sit there and put a few people in timeout. So anyway, like I said, I appreciate you guys. Anyway, and I'll see you guys Wednesday night from the woods. This is Tom with Hidden Truths. I'm out of here.